Okay, I'll kick us off here. So welcome to the June 6th, 2024 electronic meeting of the Greenbelt Advisory Commission. The meeting is being held electronically, so we intend to conduct this meeting similarly to an in-person meeting. However, please be patient if there are technical issues. Public comment will be via telephone only. Please note that if you are watching this meeting live online, there is a 30-second delay. To speak during any of the public comment opportunities, please call 1-877-853-5247 and enter meeting ID number 941-0420-8673. Again, the number to call is 1-877-853-5247. Meeting ID 941-0420-8673. This information is also available on the published agenda, in the public notices section of the city website, and on the broadcast of this meeting on CTN Channel 16, AT&T Channel 99, and online at a2gov.org/watch-CTN. Please note that if you do call in for public comment, you must enter *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, next up on our agenda is roll call. So please introduce yourself and let us know where you are attending from, and I can begin. So Chairperson Riggs, and I am attending from my home in Ann Arbor. Let's go to Commissioner Bloomer.
I'm here at my home in Ann Arbor.
Great, thanks. Good to see you. Commissioner Boggs.
I'm here at my home in Ann Arbor.
Thank you. Commissioner Schuler is not here. Councilperson Radina.
Here in Ann Arbor.
Great. Commissioner Armstrong.
Here at my home in Ann Arbor.
Commissioner Laramie.
Here at my home in Ypsilanti.
And Commissioner Buzzard. Maybe, hopefully Julius will be able to join us later. Okay, so we have a quorum. And welcome everybody, great to see you. And let's move into our third item on the agenda, which is approval of the agenda. Does someone want to make the motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Okay, the agenda is approved. Next up is approval of the minutes. So we last met on May 2nd, and the communications we received from the city staff included those meeting minutes. We could take a couple of minutes for us to take a look at those and see if we have any questions or corrections. So please take a little while and do that before we vote. Hey, would anyone like more time to look over the minutes? Okay. So would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from May 2nd?
So
I
moved.
move.
Boggs and Armstrong, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, nay. Okay, the minutes are approved. Thank you for preparing those. Number 5 on our agenda is public commentary. So is there anyone who has signed up ahead of the meeting to address the commission?
No signups for public commentary.
Okay, thank you. And moving on to presentations, we have a staff report to kick us off. So over to Rosie.
All right. Hello. Just a nice reminder of our new boundary. boundaries. So staff report will be short. Just want to let you know that am still working on the Blue Belt development. I'm probably about a month behind based on the schedule, but I've talked to everybody at HRWC at this point for their input. So it's going well. The goal, I still hope for the goal of getting this generally set up by the end of October. And the other item really for staff reports, and some of the big ones, BPS is its whole own item, is that we have a potential candidate for Robert's vacant position on GAC, or the one that Robert vacated for environmental organization representation. This was put forward by Commissioner Radina to City Council for appointment. His name is Bentley Johnson. He is with the League of Conservation Voters, and in general has quite a environmental resume. So that is his appointment is going to City Council soon. Yep, that's my that's my staff report.
Thanks, Rosie, and also to Councilperson Radina for putting forward a new name for that post. Okay, great. And then we're ready to move on to budget review. If there aren't any questions about this timeline that Rosie is sharing about the Blue Belt development. Great.
All right, I'll move on to budget review. Same properties as the last few times. The main updates here are that CARES has a projected closing of the end of this month. That's a township project. It has passed the main review at the federal level. And we have an updated GAC fund balance from the finance department with a fund balance from the end of the last quarter. And I have added in here the payments we received from the Buy Protect Sell sales as they both closed at the end of last month, which I will of course talk more about. So just to remind everybody that when we sell these Buy Protect Sell properties, the money returns to the GAC fund for more land conservation. So and then we've got a bunch of projects in the works, of course, including a few of the ASAP ones we'll talk about later. And we have very similar, the GAC fund balance didn't change much with the new finance update at the end of March. So now we've got, still 2.27 million available for use.
Thanks, Rosie. Are there any questions for Rosie about the budget? It'll be nice to have that CARES property close before the end of the city's fiscal year.
Yeah. Make sure to get it in the fiscal year statistics.
And then it looks like there's an update on the Buy Protect Sell work.
Yeah, just a bigger update. So yeah, that's the big news. The exciting news is that both of them closed last month, both sides. Very exciting. It felt like a big deal for the south parcel. I even got to hand over keys because we had a key to the barn. So pretty neat. But to go over it in more detail, right, to remind everyone of the frame or the purpose of Buy Protect Sell. to, fulfill our conservation objectives while providing a secondary benefit. This land was still conserved. Provide a secondary benefit of offering an access pathway to farmland ownership for those who don't own farmland, because it's very difficult to own farmland around here, or to buy land, to access land with our land prices being so high. So this was our pilot Buy, Protect, Sell project. So we bought this property, this 54-acre property, in November 2022. Through this process, we divided it in half and advertised it as available as 2 separate halves. We worked through making the eligibility criteria, scoring criteria, everything needed to operationalize this after the visioning that happened earlier in 2022. And by July, we were able to release the RFP for people to apply to purchase these properties at the fixed advertised price. Closed it 2 months later at the end of, and then you all reviewed the applications, and then City Council approved the sales to our 2 buyers, and we closed it 5 months later. And this is, in terms of like our land deals that happen in this area, this was like one of the fastest ones. And we were really trying to make it that, because there were a whole other set of, interests and needs involved here. So we had hoped to get them sold by March, or by the end of March. 2 months a little late. That's okay. We got it done. So we're really, really happy. And to review who we sold them to. So the south parcel, and just on this drone shot here, the south parcel is at the top and the north parcel is at the bottom. The south came with building. So the south parcel was sold to Kristen Muehlhauser of Rain, the owner, operator, founder of Rain Dance Organic Farm, who grows and sells veggies and cut flowers on a few acres of leased land just up the street from here, from the Buy, Protect, Sell property, I mean. And here are just some photos. Top 2 photos are of the south side of of the Buy, Protect, Sell property, and then the bottom 2 are some photos just from her farm, from her current farm. So she's going to be, working pretty quickly to move over the majority of her growing operations to this site as soon as she can, I think, before her lease runs out at the end of the year at her old property. So we're going, she has great plans for her property. So what's next here is she and I are going to be in very frequent conversation as she works to install all her planned farm infrastructure. She has to get electricity to the site. That's not currently there. Eventually I think a barn is planned. Got to put in a well. All of these things that by the conservation easement require coordination with us and approval by the easement holder, by the city. So ongoing conservation easements are a forever partnership, especially these ones, I think. Then the north parcel was sold to Matt Demon of Feral Flora, and he grows, and this will expand this part of his operation, but he grows seed and plants, native seed and native plants for native landscape installations and native plant restorations. Again, top 2 photos here are of the north side of the property. Or if you recall, we planted that in a cover crop while we owned it. So that's kind of what that picture on the left is. And then the bottom 2 photos are just photos from his business of examples of native plant installations that they've completed. So examples of the plants that would be grown here for human use. So Matt is, for the remainder of this year, because the cover crop died, it was designed to die. So that's kind of covering the property now. So he is, to kind of prepare it for what he needs it for, he has he has or will be leasing with the previous caretaker of the property, the person who was previously farming it, to put it into hay for a year or two, just to kind of get it cultivated again, and it'll still be like no spray. And then over more gradually, he'll carve out sections of that to start planting his particular agricultural crop. So it'll be a slow, it takes time to start a farm. So if you go out there, you might not see immediate progress, but there will be changes out here. And it'll be exciting. So then we have the bigger what's next for our Buy, Protect, Sell initiative. I think it was in general a success. I think we've gotten I've continued to receive demand for this and an interest in this from people who found out about it later. So we've decided we want to do it again. We've learned a lot in this process, informally, from feedback from a lot of different people, and including the people we sold it to, and folks that we know in the community who didn't apply but wanted to but couldn't for various reasons, and the feedback that they supplied. So we will institute some sort of formal method of gathering more feedback from those folks. I'm not sure how yet. Meeting, survey, both. We'll figure it out. And then we're on our way to find another project. So I think, definitely one of the things that was good that we received consistent positive feedback about was the location of it. It's short distance to town. So this will definitely, I want to say this will stay in the traditional Greenbelt area. I mean, it will, because it's not water quality focused. So anywhere in the regular Greenbelt, approximately this distance from a city center. I think it was 4 miles or so. And we'll figure out. Something else I learned was that most people, everybody's very different, but everybody does want the ability, or most people do want the ability to live where they farm. So, we were right on making sure that was provided. More people have said they may have preferred for there to actually be already a house on the property. So that might be something we consider as we're looking around for another one. Size was about right. So we'll collect their feedback, figure out exactly what's best, and go find another one. We might find it'll just kind of be whatever. There's a little luck involved, I guess. I think we may be open to finding like one small one, or we could be open to finding a larger property and dividing it again. It's certainly quicker, providing more opportunity by taking a larger property and splitting it, but we'll see what comes up within our time frame. Whew, any questions?
No question here, just a congratulations and a statement of gratitude about all your work and everybody's work and getting this to go. It's super exciting. I can't wait to hear, once you all have talked to places that aren't Southeast Michigan about it, as you go to various places, or people, as we share word about what we've learned and maybe see this replicated in other places, would be fun to see too. But we'll hopefully get some folks who are interested in participating again, meaning we need more land for it.
Mm-hmm. And I hope that this came out to a result that GAC was expecting as well. I hope that this resolved, and not resolved, it concluded in the way that it was set up to conclude. That I brought you through the process, and this is what we hoped would happen. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess in response to that, I would say that, yeah, I feel like you have been very clear and deliberate about the steps and providing that context and the like, where are we now in the process? And one of the things that we said about this is that it's it's a learning opportunity. It's the first time the city's done it. It's a really new tool to use, and so this is it's a learning opportunity for all of us. And we're at this point now where there are two two businesses that are set up there, and we wish them the best. And we there was a good number of applicants, and it'll just be interesting as going forward to see what other types of individuals come forward and business ventures. So hopefully my hope is that we're going to get a really good diversity of interest going forward. Are there go ahead.
One of the feedbacks we got is like the time of year that we released this, and I think even just fixing that will bring in even more applicants. But we got a very diverse set the first time, and that was nice to see.
Do others have questions or comments? Oh,
if I could just offer one last bit of thanks and commend Rosie for stewarding this through a fairly aggressive timeline, or quite aggressive timeline. I think when she and I mapped out post-closing on the property, when it was actually acquired, and started mapping out the timeline to a sale, I think I had on the horizon at minimum 24 months to a sale, and Rosie found that unacceptable and pushed for a closing far sooner so that we could realize the full potential of the project and make sure that people had a pathway to land access, affordable farmland, sooner rather than later. So although we closed maybe 3 months after the projected timeline, it should be said that we really learned, or Rosie really led a way where we now have a really detailed playbook of where we won't make missteps again. Not that there were many, but a lot of lessons learned, I should say. And in that way, we learned enough to bring a really useful playbook to the next round of this, should you all be in support of it, and get behind the next opportunity that arises. We are going to learn something every time around, but we sure kicked up a lot going through this one. So thanks, Rosie.
you're here.
Yay.
Commissioner Armstrong, see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I wanted to say congratulations to the drivers of this, Rosie and Remy. And I know we helped, but not in that way. And I'm very impressed with it. I'm so impressed that I hope that maybe I hope there'll be opportunities for you to share with other similar agencies about how successful it appeared to go. And then I'm kind of hoping that Matt, and I'm sorry, I can't remember Rain Dance, this lady's name, but I'd hope we can go out and see them sometime. I know they're busy, so this is not the time, but or maybe do something to celebrate in some way.
Noted.
Right. I also just wanted to welcome Commissioner Buzzard to the meeting. I just want to make sure that we reflect in the minutes that he's joined us. Great. Thank you so much for the update, Rosie.
Thanks for being in support of this whole project.
Okay, so next on the agenda is new business and 7A, 7B, 7C, and 7D are all related to the ASAP Ale. Oh, and RCPP there. Yeah. What do you
All
have for us?
I'll be leading the RCPP discussion portion of this new business. So I think you all have heard the acronym many a time over the last several years, since at least 2016 or 2017 when the city started engaging with this USDA program. So again, a reminder, RCPP stands for Regional Conservation Partnership Program. It is a program of the Natural Resource Conservation Service, or NRCS, which is a subset of the USDA, or United States Department of Agriculture. So let's try and do a recap that I'm going to start fresh here for those that aren't familiar with USDA, NRCS, ASAP, or RCPP, and all the alphabet soup that has driven truly through decades of partnership with the Greenbelt and many other municipalities, nonprofit land trusts, et cetera, throughout the United States, land conservation outcomes across the US. USDA NRCS has been our most reliable funding partner in the Greenbelt's history, and that rings true for so many other agencies across the US. They dedicate a significant amount of funding through the Farm Bill for permanent land protection. And for years, the city of Ann Arbor secured USDA NRCS grant funding support for land acquisition through a program called first called FRPP, later called ACEP, ACEP, or ASAP Ale, if we want to really keep going down the rabbit hole. We've secured, I wish I had the number off the top of my head, but I think it's many, many millions of dollars. Many, many, many millions of dollars that have gone into most of the Greenbelt's work throughout the past 21 years has been funded by NRCS's ASEP program. Then in the 2016 Farm Bill, there was a new program established called RCPP, or Regional Conservation Partnership Program. So the difference between ASEP and RCPP is really a basic fundamental difference of ASEP is a grant for protecting a very specific property, while RCPP is a pool of funding available to protect any number of properties in a target area. So one is hyper-specific to a project, and one is specific to a group of partners who have come together and decided to designate an area of interest and target the protection of parcels or farms or natural areas within that area. So that's the major incentive behind RCPP, is instead of picking off projects one by one, it's power in numbers, getting a bunch of groups and conservation agencies together to cohesively target an outcome on a wider scale than just one parcel. Rosie, can you change slides? So in terms of our RCPP history here in the city of Ann Arbor, there have been 2 RCPP projects that have been completed since 2017. So the first was an RCPP project that was led by Legacy Land Conservancy, which is a regional land trust here in the Washtenaw or Ann Arbor area. And in 2017, they applied for 1.8 million in RCPP funding that was matched by 1.8 million in partner funding. So that was Legacy, Washtenaw County, City of Ann Arbor Greenbelt, I believe several other partners. I can't bring all of them to mind, but there were many partners building that one-to-one match for that $1.8 million award. That RCPP ended up with a target deliverable of 400 acres, but actually protecting over 600 acres. Then following the 2017 RCPP led by Legacy, the city led an RCPP proposal that was successful for $1 million. Our target deliverable with all of our partners, including Washtenaw County, townships, some of the nonprofits, et cetera, was to protect 340 acres. We ended up at the end of its project, at the end of the project, protecting 400 acres. So combined, you can see that the partners here in our region have a proven track record of securing the RCPP monies, bringing them to our locale in the United States, and then over-delivering on our target deliverables. So really good track record. And that led to a 2021 RCPP proposal that the city led and was awarded for $7.4 million. So much bigger than the prior two from 2017 and 2018. Unfortunately, we are still working through some major hurdles with the administration and restrictions associated with how that grant funding can be used. And it is tied to the fact that the funding pool that RCPP was awarded through was one of the two funding pools that RCPP funds are designated to in the US, which is it either comes from what they call an RCPP critical conservation area or is awarded under the RCPP state multi-state pool model. I know that this is really technical and I'm doing my best to keep it high level, and I'm very sorry for this, but this is crucial. The $7.4 million 2021 RCPP award secured by the city of Ann Arbor is facing major challenges because of the restrictions that exist within the critical conservation area rules. Those issues are not present in the state multi-state pool. We do not have to be concerned or have to get tangled up in things that staff strongly advise against related to the critical conservation areas if we do secure an award through the state multi-state pool instead. So along those lines, simple is RCPP critical conservation area, not really workable or very difficult to work. RCPP state multi-state, very workable potentially in our area. Can you advance to the next slide? Thanks. So with that, while we still work through the difficulties and challenges associated with our RCPP critical conservation area $7.4 million award from 2021, we are looking still toward the future for new opportunities that maybe do not have as much red tape or restrictions associated with them. And a local partner, Legacy Land Conservancy, is going to be pursuing a new fiscal year 24 proposal with all of the same partners that were part of the 21 proposal and more, to lead a new proposal under the state multi-state pool. And one of the big reasons to go for funding this round is because whereas there is typically about $350 million per year available in the RCPP program nationally each year, because of Inflation Reduction Act monies, this round in fiscal year 24 is $1.5 billion. And so a lot of people have an opportunity to get funding for RCPP projects, whereas it is typically a very competitive pool when there's only $350 million available annually nationally. So with that, Legacy is taking the lead on a new proposal as part of that $1.5 billion pool, where 50% of those funds are earmarked for state multi-state projects. And so there's effectively about $750 million available for the pool that does not pose restrictions for actually getting RCPP money into the ground by protecting land permanently. So we would like to be part of Legacy's proposal, as would Washtenaw County, all of the funded millage townships in our area, other nonprofit land trusts that you see here, Livingston Land Conservancy, Southeast Michigan Land Conservancy. All of these agencies are currently entertaining being partner to this RCPP and seeking their board approvals or council or board of trustees approvals to engage in this partnership. Our request, what we're making a recommendation to you all to recommend to City Council, is that the City of Ann Arbor Greenbelt commit $3 million to this new RCPP proposal to then be awarded $3 million in USDA NRCS RCPP monies to protect, with the city being the lead entity on the protection of about 800 acres of land over the next 5 years, funded by RCPP. Compared to our FY21 proposal, $3 million is almost double. We secured, I think, about $1.5 million, $1.6 million in the 21 proposal. So this new proposal would make more money available to us. And again, because of the pool of money that we're applying to, or that Legacy is applying to, and we would be part of, we would then have double the money with none of the restrictions that we've encountered through the critical conservation area pool through RCPP. I'm going to stop saying RCPP, finally, and I'm going to take questions if any of this is unclear. Rosie, I wasn't sure if there was one more slide about this or if that's it.
No, there's the recommendation slide.
Okay. And then the last budgetary item I want to mention is that from our perspective, committing $3 million over 5 years means that we have the 2.7 million unrestricted that you currently saw in the budget report earlier, plus $3 additional million in revenue over the next 5 years. So that's over 5 million unrelated and unrestricted or not earmarked for RCPP purposes. So that could go toward partner projects, Greenbelt-led projects that don't require federal funding, such as Buy, Protect, Sell, and then Blue Belt projects as well. So that leaves about almost 6 million available to us, separate from this new RCPP effort. Okay. It is a big federal program with a lot of intricacies, and we've been working them out since 2021 when we were awarded this large award. So we're still learning, still working through. NRCS is a tried and true partner in our community and beyond for being such a good funding partner to get this work done, that we are very hopeful that this new proposal under a new pool will align more closely with the outcomes we've experienced in partnership with our RCP or with NRCS over the past 2 decades, but is not like the last 3 years of trying to work through the 2021 RCPP agreement. Questions?
Thank you, Remy.
Yeah.
Remy, is this, would this be a 50-50 match? In other words, they'll contribute 50% and we would contribute 50?
Yes.
It's the same. Okay. And
If-
can I ask you one other question? Are there
Yeah.
any negative ramifications for not using the 7.4 million of the specific funds?
We are not at the point where we are looking to officially end that funding agreement. We want to keep the line open for as long as we can and explore how we can spend that money. But we may get to the point where we're nearing the end of our 5-year agreement for those funds and still have not found a path forward to spend it. There is, to my understanding, not a mechanism in NRCS where we would be penalized for that. it may be noted in future years if we are the lead agency on a new proposal, that they would say we have a record of a lead agency applying for new funding where in the past they were unable to spend it. But I think that if we are given the opportunity to explain why, it is not because we were awarded the funds and didn't have the matching funds to actually do the work. It's that there were some legal lines that we were unable to cross to execute agreements with legal requirements that the CCA, or the Critical Conservation Area Funding Pool, requires that you incorporate into your conservation easements. And I know that we're not the only ones struggling with those requirements nationally. We are not unique in that way. So if we are unable to spend those funds, I do not think that that's going to be a story that is solely unique to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you.
Commissioner Armstrong, I saw that you had your hand raised earlier. Is there still a question that you have or a comment on this, or was it addressed? Oh, and you are on mute.
I'm a little overwhelmed, and so I wish I'd love to listen to the whole spiel again. Are there cliff notes? Will there be cliff notes?
There's always the opportunity to sit down with Rosie and I for an hour separately,
Okay.
and get the deep dive if that's what you're looking for. But if there are general questions for clarification, always happy to do that here.
So I guess the one thing, you kept referring to things that made it not, if we use the organization, the conservation one, that there were so many restrictions, but you haven't, and you mentioned it again kind of cryptically. Are there examples? And is there, and then question 2 is, would this be something that would prohibit us, if we commit to it now, to not going down that road? Could we change up? Does that make any sense what I'm asking? I think it does to me.
I think I was caught in my mind trying to figure out how to answer the first part.
Okay, well, I'll take that.
And therefore maybe Rosie can answer the second part. But for the first part, a little less cryptically.
If it's a problem, I can come in.
It's not a problem. It's just, it's keeping it at the right level. So a conservation easement is a legal, perpetual legal tool that restricts land use.
Yes.
What the critical conservation area funding pool does is it requires that partners create a conservation easement that restricts land use and an example of what land management means is perpetually requiring that a farmer use a practice such as no-till, that a buffer strip be installed, perpetually requiring a certain amount of
Excuse me, Remy, you might want to turn off your camera because there's a bit of a drag here.
These are all hypothetical examples. I am sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we are at a point where, as we understand it, to meet the objectives of the critical conservation area funding, you need to not just have your conservation easement have a land use restriction outcome, but have a land management restriction outcome in addition.
Okay.
We and many others in the permanent land protection industry across the United States do not believe it is best practice to include a perpetual land management restriction in a conservation easement. Some agencies do it in some places in a very limited basis in the US, but a lot of them do not. And so we are hung up on trying to figure out if there's a way to craft a land management restriction that would be acceptable to our level of risk tolerance for perpetually enforcing these agreements forever. And there are not many land management restrictions I would recommend to staff that we include in a conservation easement because of the way it weakens the rest of the legal agreement by its enforceability.
Understand.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
And it is our understanding that the state multi-state pool of funds does not include any land management restrictions be embedded in your conservation easement, only the standard land use restrictions that we're all very familiar with and are the same as what the Greenbelt has done for the last 21 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
The questions. Are there others who have questions about what Remy just shared about going in on a 2024 RCCP proposal with Legacy leading it?
I just have a very specific question. Remy and Rosie, would you be willing to share just the slides that have this specific content with us? Just getting to Dee's point about it being a lot of information. I took some notes, but you have some nice, very readable, understandable slides here.
Yeah.
Sure. There are no notes in the notes section for any additional info. So it's just what's on the slides though.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think these graphics are useful and just as far as kind of digesting information.
In addition, if once this is posted to CTN, you can go back and listen to Remy's description.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's a great idea. Thank you.
I have a question in terms of timing. So Remy, is there a day by which you definitely would need an action by the commission?
For this?
Yes.
Today.
Okay. Oh,
The proposal is due July 5th. And it needs to go to
That's what I was
council
July 2nd.
June 18th in 8 days. For their, if you recommend, it goes to council June 18th, and then we work very quickly with Legacy to try and get a proposal pulled together by the July 5th deadline.
so I guess just some, I don't really have a question, but just some musings on this, which is, having been on the GIC, I feel like probably for the whole time that we've been trying to draw down and utilize the 2021 RCPP funds, and knowing what a challenge that's been. I still have hope that something could come of that, but seeing that there could be this opportunity without those same restrictions that you were just talking about, and having it led by a partner like Legacy Land Conservancy is really, I find it really appealing. And if successful, that's a lot of acreage that we could enroll in the Greenbelt, and the 50-50 match is also appealing to me. So I as long as, and you addressed a issue or a concern that I had, a slight concern, which is if we were to commit to this, then what does that mean overall for the budget for the Greenbelt, and what would still be available for other opportunities? And it sounds like we'd still have quite a bit of latitude. So in general, I guess I would just say I would be in support of making this recommendation.
It's a good concern to have about what availability of funds there are to do the non-RCPP related work that the Greenbelt wants to do, whether it be by Protect Sal, Blue Belt, or just our standard, more traditional form of work. And so Rosie and I grappled with this number for a while, but just know that similar to the FY21 agreement, while we did commit, everyone committed what the matching funds to get to the $7.4 million amount. It is not good to leave money on the table, but we are not required or obligated to spend that $3 million. So if something else more compelling emerges, this is an opportunity to use and have access to a pool of $3 million in matching funds. But if we do not use it, then a partner could, it could be reallocated to another partner on the roster for them to use in their target area.
I agree with Elizabeth's assessment, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Riggs. Still getting used to the language assessment here. I think this is a valuable opportunity, and not being the lead gives us some little more flexibility than it sounds like we've been dealing with since prior to when I joined the commission.
I'd also add Legacy is probably the best partner in the Washtenaw County area to lead a multi-state in particular, given what it seems like its goals are of just covering a very broad area. With Legacy already works in multiple counties and has connections across multiple counties. So that's why Livingston Land Conservancy is involved and such. So that makes it they're able to make it a more competitive proposal than we probably could have.
Yeah, Commissioner Armstrong.
Is Legacy's lead, I'm not sure what their area is. Does it include all of our Blue Belt, or?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Legacy's official service area is Washtenaw, Jackson, and Lenawee counties.
Excellent.
And then this proposal is currently targeting, I believe, a 5-county area, which is Washtenaw, Lenawee, Jackson, Livingston, and Wayne.
Right. Okay.
And is the total proposal, Remy, still projected to be 25 million?
I'm not sure, but we're totaling it up. The other difference between the 2021 RCPP proposal and this proposal is that in 2021, the cap on awards nationally was 10 million. And NRCS has raised the cap to 25 million. So Legacy is working with all the partners that you saw on that potential roster to tally up the total amount that we want. But just so you know, the city put forth a $10 million proposal in 2021, and NRCS came back to us and said, we'll award you 7.4. We need to scale it down based on the availability of funding. In this case, given that there's 1.5 billion available, I don't know if scaling down will be the outcome for those selected for awards. And so I would anticipate this award in the end, once all the approvals are in, could range between 15 and 25 million.
I'm not seeing other commissioners with questions or comments right now. So so you need us to make a motion on this. Yeah, and then vote. I'm happy to, since I already spoke about it, I'm happy to make the motion to recommend to approve a participation assistance in a proposal to the USDA NRCS fiscal year 2024 RCPP to be submitted by Legacy Land Conservancy to secure funding to complete conservation easements up to $3 million. And is there a support?
I'll
I
support.
Commissioner Bloomer, thank you. And is there any additional discussion? Okay. Then let's put it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Don't hear anyone, so great. This resolution passes. And good luck to those of you now working on the proposal. Okay, well, keep us posted. Okay, thank you, Remy. Then moving on to 7B on the agenda, ASAP Ale grant award on the Enos Trust property. Is it Rosie? Is this going over to you now?
Yes, I'll give a little introduction on all three of those there. So luckily Remy got to talk about this type of grant too. So I am now jumping to the ASAP Ale Agricultural Conservation Easement Program - Agricultural Land Easement grant that is project by project based that we applied to in November with 4 properties to get 49% of the funding for the easements for these 4 properties. The Fishbeck property, Enos, another Hamilton, and St. John's. So we submitted that in November, which was earlier than usual, which means we got an earlier than usual award. Usually it's pushing up against the fiscal year. So far, we have been offered grant awards, parcel contracts for Fishbeck, Enos, and St. John's, I'm happy to say. We still have time or the USDA, still has time to potentially make more awards if more funding is allocated for this. So not ruling out Hamilton just yet, but for now we have these 3. So the 3 resolutions are to accept the grant awards for these 3 properties. However, I want to talk to you a little bit about the St. John's property, as there has been some changes. So the small change. So this outline here is what we applied with. So it was 75 acres. The full tax parcels were 80 acres, but they had a 5-acre exclusion right there on the road. Right after we were awarded, I chatted with them and they informed me that they would like a second building exclusion on the east parcel. These are 2 tax parcels, and it was always agreed upon that we would allow a land division. We would reserve a land division between these 2 parcels along the road where they're basically already divided. So having a building site for each parcel makes sense. We've talked about that a lot, right? The ability to have economic potential associated with an agricultural property. They wanted an exclusion, not an envelope. So after some negotiation, I proposed this. So the conflict that we had with this is that the parcel has to be re-ranked in the award system, in the ASAP Ale award system, but I basically just have to show that the scoring remains unchanged. So the issue was just road frontage. This property had scored in the top grouping for road frontage. So we had to minimize the reduction of road frontage with this addition of a building exclusion. So we've currently negotiated scooting the west exclusion off of Sutton Road, so we get the road frontage on Sutton Road back. Does that make sense? And then minimizing the road frontage on this second building exclusion. So in total, this remains over 0.7 miles of road frontage. And that would keep the property in the same scoring with the same points at the ASEP level, and thus we could keep our parcel contract. I will also say that adding this does not seem to change GAC's scoring of the property either. All of the soils here are prime or prime if drained or farmland of local importance. So the percentage of that covering the property remains the same. The scoring classes for size is the same between 75 and 70 acres. The road frontage class is the same. So this would still be ranked in the same way for GAC if they had come to us with this in the first place. So I wanted to make sure you were okay with this, right? So because this isn't approval right now, right? We're not approving, a sales contract or obligation of funds to this, but want to make sure that this is something you would still want to move forward with in the future, in the near future. And I think I had another thought, but I forgot. But there it is. Right, to reiterate how important this property is in the landscape, it is next to a large chunk of protected land going down Northfield Church Road and up to our Buy Protect Sell area here. There are several newish applications along Noller Road to further that block. And then to the east is the Ennis property that we were also just awarded. And in between those two, the owners here did apply to the Greenbelt, but it's since gone inactive, but it's at least eligible farmland. So it's a good chunk still to be protecting. Is this okay? Just like general okayness with this extra building exclusion. I hope. Okay. Excellent. So that will, when we get this, when I get this worked out with USDA. Oh, I remember the other thing I wanted to say is that this negotiation of this west side exclusion, because the image on the left here, this is the original one. This is what they wanted because it's right across from the church. So they weren't really thinking like a house here. They were thinking more church development. So we're trying to keep that, but basically the church council needs to approve this. So we might move this slightly around on this road, but it'll still be 5 acres on that road. So just a possibility when this comes back for like the final approval, it might even look ever so slightly different from this, but it will still be 2 5-acre exclusions. Okay. So, and the totals of those awards, this is old. I have to delete this part. Oh. Okay. The totals of those awards come out to 202 acres and $840,000 for that. And 3 out of 4 ASEP ALE grants. This third one will reduce a little bit since it'll be 70 acres rather than 75 acres. It'll reduce on a per acre basis, but in general, that's the amount of money we got, and I'm very pleased. So we'll have a recommendation to accept each a grant award for each of those properties.
Thank you, Rosie. Before asking for a motion,
for more, I'm sorry, things just pop in. For more context, these are we haven't done an ASEP ALE grant actually since 2020 because of the RCPP that we were hoping to work with. But prior to that, as Remy said, ASEP ALE was FRPP, and we have been using these grants for 21 years, and everybody has. So we know how to do these very well.
All right, so like Rosie said, there on our agenda, there are 3 of these, and this is the first one. So could I ask one of the commissioners to make a motion? Or what is on the screen right now?
I can make a motion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Laramie. And then I think I saw Commissioner Bloomer with her hand up as well. Is that correct? So would you like to second?
Yes, second.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you both. And then is there discussion? Well, let's, Rosie, that was really helpful overview and reminders because many months can pass in between, you know, when commission has really looked at this. So let's just go ahead and see what kind of support there is. Not seeing questions or hand raised. So all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 For anyone opposed, please say nay. Okay, great. That resolution passes. So it's exciting. And then is the next slide for the St. John's. And okay, and is there would someone like to make a motion for us to do what's on this the slide here?
I'll
Mr.
do it.
Armstrong? Okay,
Yeah.
great. I'm happy
Um,
to second. And is there discussion about this motion for St. John's property? All right, then all in favor of this, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Say nay. Okay, great. 7C on the agenda also passes. Thanks, everybody. And then the last one here is for Fishback in Superior Township. And Rosie, again, how many acres is this one?
63.
Sorry,
63.
63. Okay, so again, this is our final ASAP Ale Grant Award resolution to accept on the agenda. Would someone like to make the motion? That's in front here.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Buzzard. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Commissioner Bloomer with the second. Thank you. And is there any discussion? Okay, then all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Terrific. Thank you. That passes as well. 202 acres or so among those three. Okay, great. And then Rosie, one more agenda item for you, which is 7E. Commission
Elections.
chair and vice chair elections.
Excellent. Okay. So it is part of the Greenbelt ordinance and bylaws to elect a chair and vice chair every year. We have not done that for a couple of years. Thank you, Elizabeth and Jason, for continuing to be chair and vice chair. So because we are starting a new fiscal year next month. I think this is when GAC usually did this, but I'm taking the opportunity to just sort of align us with our rules and have a chair and vice chair election. Because it's a little sudden, but Elizabeth and Jason have indicated they are willing to remain in their roles for one more year if everyone is okay with that. Been doing a fine job. And then I would like to garner more interest over the next year for moving for other members of the commission to move up into executive committee roles. So Elizabeth and Jason can have a little break. So we do have one person interested in learning to become chair or vice chair, and that is Kate. So sort of proposing a slate here. This is up to GAC ultimately, for you to nominate and elect, but I suggest to you, Elizabeth as chair, Jason as vice chair, and Kate will serve as in an educational role, joining the executive committee meetings we have the Fridays before these meetings to prep, so she can learn how to learn more in depth about the Greenbelt and prepare to lead these meetings in the future. And anyone else may think over the next year about joining the executive committee as well. Yes, Councilmember Medina.
I was just going to say a big thanks to Elizabeth and Jason for their continued service, and I love this idea of succession planning because it is not something that is done on all of the commissions, and often leaves us kind of scrambling when a chair leaves or something like that. And so thank you also, Kate, for stepping up and being willing to lead in the future.
Yeah, agreed. And, really grateful that Kate is interested. And as Rosie said, if anyone else is interested and also, potentially playing an enhanced role on the commission, please consider that. Okay, so Rosie, you proposed a slate. So now we have to go campaign?
Yeah.
I believe someone must nominate individuals for the roles, and then you vote on those roles.
Okay.
Someone on GAC, yes.
Okay. I'll nominate Elizabeth for the chairman and Jason for the vice chairman and Kate for, I'm not sure what her title is, educational executive committee.
Sure, I'll second that.
Thank you both for the votes of confidence. And then is there any additional discussion? Jason, you've been very quiet.
I'm not having the greatest connection. I've been able to keep up with everything pretty well, but that's why my camera's off too. It's acting goofy. So I'm excited to have Kate, and there's just the concept of moving forward with sort of I can't remember the term that was used, but sort of future planning, I think is great, and really welcome that. Allows the chance as executive committee members to support each other when someone's on vacation or ill or has a previous commitment they just can't do. That certainly gives me confidence in moving forward, staying in the role for now, is having that support. So I think it's great, and encourage everyone else to get involved as we progress forward as well. So I think it's great.
Yeah, thank you. Yep, and I'm happy to do that again, and I appreciate when Jason's been able to take over when I've been late to meetings due to driving or what have you, travel, and then excited that Kate is interested as well in learning more about how the commission operates. So okay, so then all in favor of the motion for this next year's executive committee, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, then that motion passes.
And I will also say thank you, Elizabeth, for being chair and doing such a wonderful job, and Jason and both of you for continuing on. It's nice to have committed individuals to plan with.
Yeah, I'll just add on there, I very much appreciate the legacy planning perspective. So it's very helpful for someone who's looking to learn more how everything works.
Rosie and Remy, you both are terrific to work with. So thanks for all of what you do on the staff. Hey, then let's see, item 9 on our agenda then, just moving on should be number 8, but anyway, public commentary. So, we will now, I'm happy to talk through our public comment notes, but I also just would like to know if there's anybody waiting to address the commission.
We have no public callers for
Okay,
commentary.
thank you. Okay. Well, if in that case, then let's move on to, are there any communications from staff or other commissioners? Is that a new addition to the agenda? I'm not remembering that item before. Okay. We'll go with that.
It's a
Anything to
nice
share?
time. Yeah, if commissioners just
Yeah.
have relevant info to share with each other or with staff, or if I had some events to tell you about, maybe I would.
This is a nice thing to have on the agenda, and maybe we can think about it for the next meeting and be ready. All right. And then the last item on our agenda is adjournment, and we just need someone to make a motion to adjourn. And I get a
move to
motion.
adjourn.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Armstrong and Commissioner Bloomer, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are adjourned, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.